Welcome to Chapter 8, where we are forecasting. This is really exciting stuff, especially if you're going to be entering a career field where you need to maybe make budgets, try to maybe even for inventory control. We use this to take past data and try to determine where we're going to be in the future. So if I was setting a budget, I would look at what did I spend last month? How much income did I have last month? How much output? And then predict the next month or the next year, or the next quarter, and to set my budget. Or let's say I was the vice president of sales. I could do the same thing. I might take past sales history to figure or forecast where our sales will be this year versus last year. If I was in a warehouse and in charge of inventory, same thing. I would look at, okay, how much inventory do I need to order in January and in February and March? Because they're probably going to vary depending on the type of business I'm in. Could be seasonality. So this question wants us to use the time series data and determine the mean absolute error, the mean squared error, the mean absolute percentage error, and then lastly to forecast week 7. And so to do this, we're going to open a blank Excel spreadsheet, or you could use the Excel spreadsheet that I've provided here on Blackboard. And you're going to have to set up a table, because to get the mean of anything, we need to have all of the values. And we weren't given anything except for the week number and the value. So you'll want to set up a column for forecast error, absolute error, square error, and absolute percent error. And so what we'll do is we're going to grab this, copy, Control C, come here, Control V, paste, and voila, I have my data now. Okay, so now I'm going to, again, grab this, Control C, and I'm going to come down here where I already gave it week, and I'm going to transpose my data. And that's the little clipboard with the 2 arrows, so that I have this in the format that I need now. Okay, so forecast equals the previous month's value. So that tells me that for month 1, I can't forecast, which means that I'm not going to be filling in any of these values at all for month 1. I'm sorry, week 1. So week 2, the value is going to be 18 because it's the previous month's value. So really, I could copy these and paste them in, and I have them. Okay. Now, the forecast error is going to be the difference between what I have forecasted and the value I really brought in. But we don't want to say forecast minus value. That gives us a positive number, which you'll see in a minute. That isn't going to matter. But I actually had a value of 13, but I predicted, or I forecasted 18, which means I was off by 5. I can also grab that little green square, drag this down. Okay. Then it wants me to determine the absolute error. And if you remember, an absolute value is simply just a positive value. So I could go and just say, okay, 5, 3, 5, or I gave you the actual formula if you wanted to. I could say ABS, click on the cell. Oops, you know what? I got to put that equal sign there. I'm just so guilty of that all the time. Equals ABS 5, and it gives it for me, and I could drag that down. There we go. Yeah, I can't see 9. Okay. Okay, now I need to do the square error. So here's my error, right? All of these are just going on the previous. Okay. My square error is going to be equals that cell, the little hat, which is on the 6, the number 2, and that squares it. Or we know, oops, wrong cell. We know that a number times a number squares it. So I could say equals 3 times 3. However you want to do this. Do the first one, drag them down. And then the absolute percent error, I gave you the formula equals round 100 times the absolute error divided by the value. Yeah. Let me see. What am I missing here? Problem was, since I told it to round, I needed to tell it how many digits to round, and I didn't. So let me fix this for y'all so you have the right. We all make mistakes. I'm going to tell it 2 digits, okay? So, equals round 100 times my absolute divided by my value, comma 2. And I can drag that down. So now I can get my mean. So my mean absolute average is just that average of my absolute error equals average okay, and then square error equals and then percent error and then week 7 forecast is, remember, the forecast is simply the previous month's value. So if 6 is 14 was the value, then 7 forecast is 14, right? And that's the answers to question 1. Although that's my answers to question 1. Remember, you're going to have a different data set than me. It's possible 1 or 2 of you may have the same data, but not everybody is. So make sure that you're using your data.